This is your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Friday, January 3, 2020. Starting Monday, the Bridgetown Transformation Project will get underway. The project, outlined by Prime Minister Mia Mottley last evening, will see a major redevelopment of the capital. The first phase will entail the construction of the Golden Square Freedom Park and the completion of the Fairchild Street Market Village.
The construction of a new hotel on the Caribbean site, Indigo, and they too are in the final stages of their regulatory process, and that is for 171 rooms. As is the case of Port Ferdinand, which will be expanding with hotel rooms now, 74 additional rooms to the condominiums that they have. The Sandals Royal expansion will be adding a further 66 rooms, and this is at the Sandals in Christchurch. The Hyatt is in the last stages of their public communication and town hall meetings, and that is intended for just under 400 rooms and 40 suites. Chefette will be building a new ice cream manufacturing plant and a meat packaging plant in Lears, and I'm due to do the groundbreaking for that within a matter of weeks. The paving of Grantley Adams International Airport, where $49 million is being spent to repave our runways, which is absolutely critical for our airport. The construction of 100 new stalls, vending stalls at the Fairchild Street Market, because the conditions under which we have made our vendors live for the last 2 decades there are nothing short of woeful, and it is this government's intention to be able not only to make them better, but to make that location an area where all Barbadians and visitors will want to congregate.
Prime Minister Mottley also outlined other major investments expected to kickstart this year that will further boost the economy.
These include, my friends, the Royalton project at Discovery Bay that will see 230 rooms, and they're due to start construction once we complete the regulatory processes by May of this year. It also includes the construction of a new hotel on the Caribbean site, Indigo, and they too are in the final stages of their regulatory process, and that is for 171 rooms. As is the case of Port Ferdinand, which will be expanding with hotel rooms now, 74 additional rooms to the condominiums that they have. The Sandals Royal expansion will be adding a further 66 rooms, and this is at the Sandals in Christchurch. The Hyatt is in the last stages of their public communication and town hall meetings, and that is intended for just under 400 rooms and 40 suites. Chefette will be building a new ice cream manufacturing plant and a meat packaging plant in Lears, and I'm due to do the groundbreaking for that within a matter of weeks. The paving of Grantley Adams International Airport, where $49 million is being spent to repave our runways, which is absolutely critical for our airport.
In other news, the opposition leader is not bowled over by the government's 7-year development plan outlined by the Prime Minister last evening. Bishop Joseph Atherley suggested that the government failed to answer questions about details relating to the financial and contractual arrangements around the importation of garbage trucks and buses and proposed plans to redevelop Bridgetown. He maintains it was a rehash of blaming the poor performance of the former Democratic Labour Party government and boasting about increased reserves achieved by raising the country's debt. A call for Barbadians to offer more support for those who represent the country in international events, whether they are musicians, athletes, or beauty pageant contestants. Head of Prong Events, the franchise holder of the Miss Universe pageant in Barbados, Gaynell Marshall, made the appeal at a recent post-pageant press conference with this year's Miss Barbados Universe, Chanel Eiffel. Marshall said Barbadians tend to complain about how things are done rather than offer to help when they have the relevant expertise.
I fully accept that people have different opinions on the significance of pageantry, if there is any. I'm fully aware that people don't have to be as excited about it as perhaps people who work in it. But what you can afford to get excited about is the exponent process, the process whereby we can build up a representative so that she is celebrated globally. I think we can get behind that. Like if we can get behind that for Rihanna, or if we can get behind that for any athlete of any name, I believe we can also get behind that for Miss Universe.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Root Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume reveler, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news, Jamaica's opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips is hitting back at critics that have slammed his call for an increase in the minimum wage. He contends the move could lead to economic growth.
Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips proposed an increase to the minimum wage, which stands currently at $7,000 per week. Dr. Phillips wants this figure to increase to $12,500. But critics believe that move is unrealistic, as employers would not be able to afford such a sharp increase. However, Dr. Phillips said he has seen no evidence to support the critics' claim.
I think we have to recognize, first of all, that the country faces a tremendous problem with rising poverty and massive inequality, that it's certainly a sharp increase in the minimum wage will not disable most operations. No one has provided evidence that it would, and I think it is something to be explored.
On the international scene, the U.S. killing of Iran's most powerful figure after its supreme leader is seen by Tehran as an act of war, and there are fears of dire ramifications. More in this report from Reuters Television.
As the world reels from the sudden assassination of one of the most powerful men in Iran by the United States, Washington is claiming the killing of Major General Qasem Soleimani was to thwart an impending attack in the Middle East that threatened dozens, if not hundreds, of American lives. That's according to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who gave few other details to U.S. networks.
I think you know this. The risk of doing nothing was enormous. Enormous in the short term, in terms of the imminent attack that Qasem Soleimani was plotting.
General Soleimani was killed in an airstrike at Baghdad's international airport along with the leader of an Iraqi paramilitary force. The U.S. Embassy is urging all Americans to leave the country. The Iraqi government is outraged and says the strike inside the airport, inside the capital, and without their permission is going to lead to war. Soleimani was the head of the Quds Force, an elite unit responsible for the Iranian military's foreign operations, and an architect of Iran's proxy wars in the Middle East. Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis oversaw the coalition of Iraqi militia units supported by Iran, known as the Popular Mobilization Forces, which are technically part of the Iraqi government's security apparatus. It's understood that rockets hit two vehicles carrying the leaders. This is a dramatic escalation and a divisive one on the streets of Iraq. Spontaneous celebrations broke out in Iraq's Tahrir Square on news of the killings. Iran's influence in Iraq, especially in the security services, is part of the motive for the anti-government protests that have swept Iraq for months.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Azuma Media in bus terminals, as well as Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.